Oh. Okay, welcome to the webinar. We're just waiting for the attendees to join and we'll get started in about 2 or so minutes. Okay, well, hi everyone, and welcome to our 2020 Consumer Wellness Trends webinar. I'm Lauren Armes, and I'm the founder of Welltodo, and I'm here with our senior editor, Laura Hill, to present the webinar today. Whilst we just get set up and allow as many people as possible to join the call live, I just want to thank you all for taking the time to join us today. And for those who are listening to this on the replay, welcome. So we have had our technical sound check and it sounds like we have sound, so that's great. So we'll crack on. In today's webinar, we're going to take you through some of the key consumer trends as identified by the team at Welltodo, which are set to shape the wellness industry in 2020 and beyond. The insights that we'll cover today form the basis of our 2020 Consumer Wellness Trends Report, which some of you might have seen already. If you haven't, it's a 60+ page report produced by Welltodo, exploring the 8 consumer trends that you should be tracking as we enter 2020. Whether you're a large business or a startup, these trends will impact your business decisions. Not only will the report help you to connect more meaningfully with the wellness consumer of tomorrow, but it will also help you to better understand how shifts in consumer behaviour will impact the future of your business. Details of how to access the full report will be provided at the end of the webinar, including an exclusive discount code for our live audience, so do make sure that you tune in for that. We will also send out links to the full report and to catch the replay in communication following the webinar. So let's dive in. In this webinar, which will run for approximately 30 minutes, we're going to be exploring 4 of the 8 trends featured in our full report. In a moment, I'll hand you over to Laura to explore key evolutions in the wellness industry, including next-gen personalisation, the demand for a more intuitive, reflective, and diverse approach to wellness, the evolution of conscious consumerism, the role your business can play in creating one single connected wellness ecosystem, and much more. For those of you who are new to Welltodo and joining us for the first time today, welcome. Our mission is very simple. We help people to build incredible businesses and careers in the wellness industry. And there's a couple of ways that we do this. Our online content at welltodoglobal.com covers news and insights about the global wellness industry, and now also includes our downloadable trend reports, which you can access via our website. Our industry-leading events in London, including the Founder Series, our Trends Forums, and our annual Welltodo Summit, which is a full-day event for more than 300 industry leaders to come together and explore innovation and growth in wellness. We also provide a platform for brands in the wellness industry to advertise job vacancies and recruit passionate and talented candidates. And this function operates through a separate website, welltodocareers.com, which you can check out today. Finally, we offer advice and consultancy services to help you make better decisions for the future of your business and understand how the changing wellness industry landscape could affect your product, service, and business growth. Now, as promised, and without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Laura Hill. Laura has been senior editor at Welltodo for more than 4 years now, and in that time she has certainly amassed a wealth of knowledge about the wellness industry, reporting regularly across some of the wellness market's key industry categories, including fitness, F&B, nutrition, well tech, travel, beauty, and more. So Laura, over to you.
Thanks so much, Lauren. As Lauren has already mentioned, in this session today, I'm going to summarise some of the key insights found in our 2020 Consumer Wellness Trends report. This presents Welltodo's unique perspective on the themes and behaviours driving this fast-growing wellness industry. The 8 trends explored in the report are the new wellness warriors, who, driven by a rise in unrest towards the lack of recognition the industry has for individual motivations towards the pursuit of wellness, have become a powerful agent that's fueling a move towards a more balanced, reflective, and ultimately enjoyable form of wellness. In search of a wellness ecosystem. For these consumers of tomorrow, the expectation is that they will receive what they want when they need it. And the ultimate form of convenience will rest on the notion that wellness should exist within the common frameworks found at home, work, and recreational spaces. Generation woke. For this generation, which no longer views conscious consumerism as a nice to have but an urgency, the race is on for wellness brands to help them navigate this new era with efficiency and ease. From self-care to self-improvement. In this trend, we explore how the self-care movement has shifted from occupying a reactionary position, relied upon by those searching for moments of restoration and regeneration, to cater to the needs of a generation navigating a no days off culture, social media inflicted models of perfection, and the constant pressure to improve. Mental wellness for the modern age. With today's consumers wanting the products or services they invest in to be an expression of their personal values and a projection of their individual desires, even when associated with more serious or sobering issues such as mental health, this is driving innovation. Direct to consumer. Born out of an era of instant gratification, we explore how direct-to-consumer brands are capturing the market based on their convenience, agility, and speed, and how, by providing innovative solutions for the digitally native and empowered consumer, disruptive D2C brands are cultivating both engagement and advocacy and transforming the way health-conscious consumers shop. Next-gen personalisation. As consumers' expectations of how wellness brands can cater to them on a bespoke level have risen, in conjunction with enhanced data collection and technological advancements, we look at how personalisation is being pushed towards a tipping point. And finally, new age loyalty. In an age of unprecedented choice, cynicism, and high expectations, it's never been more challenging to cultivate loyalty. And once a brand has it, one misstep can see it all come crashing down. In this trend, we delve into how brands are winning over today's power-driven and vocal consumers. So in this webinar, I'll be focusing on 4 of the trends: the new wellness warriors, generation woke, mental wellness for the modern age, and in search of a wellness ecosystem. Of course, if you'd like to explore any of the trends from the report, or dive deeper into those we touch on today, as Lauren mentioned earlier, you can download the full 2020 Consumer Wellness Trends report via www.welltodoglobal.com. So let's get into it. Having tracked the evolution of the global wellness industry for more than 5 years, at Welltodo, we've come to understand that as consumers evolve into more informed and empowered individuals, the ways in which they define what it means to be well and the steps they're taking to attain those ideals are changing significantly. In response, the pursuit of wellness, an industry now valued at $4.5 trillion globally, has matured and mutated to reflect this new paradigm. Its fluid nature, shifting and splintering to create new subcategories and establish disruptive concepts. And one group that's playing a pivotal role in this evolution is what we're calling the new wellness warriors. Over the past few years, the commoditization of and subsequent pursuit of wellness has intensified the pressure on consumers to subscribe to a narrow definition of what it means and looks like to be considered healthy. Disillusioned by the wellness industry's limiting narrative and buckling under the weight of the pressure to keep up, this subset of wellness consumers, otherwise known as the new wellness warriors, have emerged, and they're ripping up the rulebook. Driven by a growing understanding of the importance of mental health, a new willingness to embrace flaws and failures openly, and a rise in unrest towards the lack of recognition the industry has for individual motivations towards the pursuit of wellness, this counterculture of disaffected consumers has become a powerful agent that's fueling a move towards a more balanced, reflective, and ultimately enjoyable form of wellness, one that is much more scalable. As we've seen over the course of 2019 from influencers such as Alice Living, Steph Claire Smith, and Emily Skye, who recently spoke out against the detrimental effects of such a utilitarian and high-pressured approach to the women's magazines that have championed a more diverse and inclusive representation of health and fitness. This collective behaviour is forcing brands to rethink their strategy. Which brands are already leading the way, you might wonder? Well, US athleisure brand Outdoor Voices, which generates an estimated $3 million in revenue annually, is one brand proving that by creating a new narrative around wellness, intuitive brands can spark positive behaviour change and in turn engage new customers. Its Doing Things motto, which focuses on moving your body and having fun with friends, rather than prioritising performance, encourages individuals to value participation rather than the end result. The brand, which opened its 10th store in the US last week, regularly hosts fitness classes and meetings such as endorphin hours and dog jogs to encourage its customers to get moving in less intense ways. The brand's founder, Tyler Haney, argues that the future of athletics isn't about being first, but it's about frequency and consistency. Like Outdoor Voices, premium supplement startup The Nuco is another brand that has responded to this shift in consumer mindset. Its founder, Jules Miller, revealed on Welltodo's Business of Wellness podcast earlier this year that she believes the current embodiment of wellness, which has a specific look and feel, won't exist in the future. She has since taken social media to unveil a new brand logo and company ethos, Feel Real Things Again. For consumers fed up with the high-pressured and guilt-ridden hyperbole surrounding wellness products and services, an approach grounded in realism and transparency such as this can not only help to develop trust, but ultimately deliver a more pleasurable experience. So what's next? In figuring out how to create value in this new age of enjoyable and real wellness, brands need to recognise that the wellness consumer is no longer willing to be typecast. This educated and empowered demographic also refuses to have the wool pulled over their eyes, which is catalysing a shift in the tone of voice brands are using to engage them. Remedy Place, a new social wellness club in Los Angeles, encapsulates this new perspective. Its mantra, "The remedy exists within you, we help you unlock it," speaks to informed consumers who are looking for choice, balance, and enhancement rather than sacrifice. Essentially, the brand is saying, we know you already have the potential to be well and are educated on what wellness means to you. We're just here to give you the science-backed resources to achieve that. With wellness increasingly meaning different things to different people, elsewhere, a multifaceted approach is also being nurtured and reflected by brands. And more so than ever, consumers are demanding that wellness brands acknowledge their individual identities and understand that the pursuit of wellness is just one facet of their lives that shouldn't eclipse the rest or replace enjoyable moments. With that in mind, for wellness brands, in 2020, it's time to think about what opportunities exist for your product or service to spark alternative, less prescriptive or stereotyped approaches to wellness to boost engagement. Lauren, can you speak more to how brands should be positioning themselves within this new landscape? What are some of your key takeaways?
Yeah, well, this is a really interesting trend, and it's certainly changing the way we think about the wellness industry from a brand perspective. So I think what's interesting here is that there's a clear shift in the perception of wellness by consumers away from being just a luxury to being more of a necessity. And that's a good thing for the industry. The pressure is therefore, though, on brands to really prove with hard facts and science where possible that consumers will be able to measure the benefits of a wellness product or service and understand the preventative impact for their individual well-being. And I suppose as a result, the emphasis for brands should be less on wellness as a trend-driven identity marker and more on wellness as a meaningful, highly relevant and integrated part of our everyday life. So this means evolving the language and messaging around wellness and perhaps even thinking about new ways to talk about it. So for our listeners, a great example I saw this week was a new wellness focused festival launching here in the UK called Life Lessons. So it's an inclusive, non-threatening, and it's generating intrigue from a broader audience who perhaps may not have been attracted to a more overtly branded wellness event.
Thanks, Lauren. Right, let's get straight into our second trend, which is Generation Woke. Having evolved from a nice to have to what is increasingly being considered not only a priority but an urgency in the face of growing concerns around the devastating effects of climate change and its threat to our existence, conscious consumerism is shifting from a mindset to a lifestyle, and with it creating a sweet spot of a healthy for me and healthy for the world mentality in which wellness brands have the opportunity to thrive. Today, a whopping 81% of global respondents feel strongly that companies should help improve the environment. And this passion for corporate social responsibility is shared across gender lines and generations. Millennials, Gen Z, and Gen X are the most supportive, but their older counterparts aren't far behind. So, for businesses that can help consumers navigate this new evolution of consciousness with efficiency and ease, they'll find themselves at the forefront of what is predicted to be a $12 trillion a year economy by 2030. But while more businesses, wellness and otherwise, turn to this idea of purpose as a way of bringing their brands to life and aligning themselves with new audiences, by hijacking the rhetoric to create shared meaning and increase sales without any real action, some have found themselves on the receiving end of accusations of wokewashing, the appropriation of ethical and progressive values as a form of advertising. Who remembers Marks and Spencer's LGBT, or lettuce, guacamole, bacon and tomato sandwich, which drew backlash from those who criticised the company's stores in Saudi Arabia, where there is high intolerance of homosexuality, or Gillette's campaign against toxic masculinity, which critics felt was jumping on the bandwagon without making any real change, fueling skepticism from consumers surrounding the legitimacy of brands that claim to have a purpose. These types of campaigns have made it harder than ever for authentic wellness brands to cut through the noise and position themselves as real drivers for change in the minds of cynical consumers. So what's the solution? One method wellness brands in particular have turned to in order to mitigate consumer backlash and ride the wave of conscious consumerism more authentically is to become certified as a B Corp, a business that meets the highest standards of verified social and environmental performance, public transparency, and legal accountability in order to balance profit and purpose. For B Corps in the wellness space, such as Athleta, Patagonia, Mindful Chef, Dame, and Rebel Kitchen, they're finding that by not only communicating but substantiating their sustainability claims through independent and credible verification, they're able to build deeper levels of trust with educated and informed consumers who want the brands they endorse to have sustainability baked into their DNA. With that in mind, what does 2020 hold? Well, the conscious consumer of 2020 will be seeking to align themselves with wellness brands that demonstrate constant action, offer genuine, tangible solutions, and live and breathe purpose throughout every facet of their business. This means wellness brands, big and small, will have to prove consistently across every channel and consumer touchpoint that they are giving back more than they take, embedding sustainability into all business operations to provide consumers with the assurance that not just one, but all the issues they care about have already been addressed. What a brand does rather than what it says will therefore play a key role in demonstrating its values and purpose. Sustainable activewear brand Tala is one such brand already paving the way. Launched in 2019 by influencer Grace Beverley, who boasts over 1 million Instagram followers, Tala's mission is to create on-trend, affordable, high-performance activewear that is 100% upcycled and honest. And the brand said it's already 92% of the way there. According to Beverley, in just 6 months, the brand has saved well over 1 million litres of water thanks to people purchasing its products over non-recycled equivalents, and it's recycled over 40,000 plastic bottles. By understanding the motivations of her mostly millennial and Gen Z audience and harnessing the power of her social influence, Beverley has created an effective way to elicit not only pro-environmental behaviour from her community, but advocacy from a demographic who feel like existing athleisure brands haven't been listening to their needs. This approach has already enabled Tala to become a $3 million company in revenue alone. So, Lauren, despite the fact that 65% of consumers say they want to buy purpose-driven brands that advocate sustainability, only around 26% currently do. So how can forward-thinking wellness brands replicate Tala's success by narrowing this intention-action gap?
Well, it's certainly impressive what Grace has created and leveraging her Instagram following and understanding her audience. For brands, this can often feel like a bit of an uphill battle. When you have brands like H&M in the fashion realm, leveraging the conscious consumer whilst still lagging significantly behind in other areas of environmental concern, the consumer can be easily confused. Instead, brands need to dig deeper and add significant value. The consumer, is becoming more savvy to this. So it's not just leveraging consumer interest in sustainability on the surface. You should also consider the ability of consumers to swap to this more sustainable offering with easy adoption and convenience in mind. The results for brands who truly align with a purpose-driven mission will come in the longer term through consistent messaging. It may not always allow for that same hyper-growth that perhaps Tala has experienced, but as consumers become more educated and Gen Zers take matters into their own hands, the woke washers will definitely be digitally burned at the stake.
Great, thanks, Lauren. I think that means it's time to move on to trend number 3, which is mental wellness for the modern age. In just a few short years, mental health has risen to prominence and cemented itself as one of the major pillars of consumers' relationship with wellness. New narratives around mental wellness have emerged in response, as has the shift from a treatment to prevention mentality, as more health-conscious generations gravitate towards a holistic approach to wellness, underpinned by the mind-body connection. Within this new paradigm, mental health is being considered more broadly on a sliding scale to encompass not only diagnosed health conditions, but also one's constantly evolving psychological state. Demanding that brands approach mental wellness in a more intuitive, reflective, and diverse way, identity-driven consumers are no longer satisfied with one-size-fits-all solutions. Individuality is key, so today's mental wellness offerings must evolve from generic to nuanced in order to inspire interaction and engagement. And one category in particular that's responding with new approaches is meditation. The business of meditation, now a multi-billion-dollar market globally, is one that's already started to splinter into subsections, mirroring the more established fitness and nutrition sectors. The recognition that consumers are searching for different routes into the practice and offerings that are more closely aligned with their likes, dislikes, personal desires, and cultural values has triggered a wave of disruptive offerings, all hoping to replicate the success of billion-dollar startups like Calm and Headspace. Music-driven meditation service Wave, created by Brad Walsh and Mason Levy, co-founder of US boutique yoga brand Y7 Studio, answers consumer demand for elevated at-home meditation that's more culturally relevant. The service, which mirrors the aesthetic and functionality of popular music apps, enables participants to share graphics featuring lyrics from the songs they have meditated to across social media platforms, whilst the vibrating Wave bolster makes a visually pleasing addition to the home. Engagement with the brand can be worn as a badge of honour, a way for consumers to share their personal journeys with mental wellness, but still feel part of a cool collective. Mental fitness startup Elevate Labs also aims to redress the homogeny of the meditation market with Balance, a personalised meditation audio program that weaves together different audio clips to create personalised meditations dependent on the user's goals and experiences. The idea is that the app adapts to the user rather than the other way around. Like Wave, Balance provides a product that is more compatible with individual tastes. It is designed around specific lifestyle concerns and delivers on the core and complex desires of the modern consumer. It doesn't approach meditation as a singular experience. Instead, it drills deeper into the practice to expose new layers that expand upon the more prescriptive and uniform offerings that have come to dominate the market. With 86% of Americans currently not meditating, for brands like these, not only in the meditation space, but mental wellness sector more generally, that are able to create a new tone, positioning themselves as relevant and adaptable solutions, they have the potential to serve this untouched demographic. However, moving forward, as consumer expectation around mental wellness increases, it's not only having an impact on wellness-driven categories such as meditation, mindfulness, and yoga, which all function in varying degrees to enhance mental wellness directly. Today, there is a growing feeling that all businesses, wellness or otherwise, have a duty to acknowledge their impact on the mental health of those engaged with them. Instagram's trial removal of likes to ease pressure on users, or Dove's commitment to making beauty a source of confidence, not anxiety, by sharing stories, products, and celebrating beauty in all its forms, both demonstrate this more visceral approach. And as brands continue to have such a direct impact on consumers' lives via daily communications and interactions across multiple channels, customers will increasingly expect them to feel an ethical and social responsibility towards their mental well-being. Businesses that can demonstrate a genuine belief in promoting good mental health will therefore find themselves able to create a value exchange that helps to reinforce brand loyalty and boost the bottom line. Lauren, by reflecting that an informed, engaged, and healthy audience is central to the long-term success of a brand, a longer-lasting connection in which loyalty evolves to advocacy can be formed. What's your take on this? How do you think wellness brands should be cultivating this type of care and responsibility?
Another great question, Laura, and one that does require significant consideration from brand owners and especially those listening. Of course, the customer bears their own responsibility to engage with wellness products and services in an empowering way, but there'll also be a subset of society that is just more vulnerable, and that brands should play their own part in nurturing customers, educating consumers, and setting people up for maximum success and sustainable interactions with their brands. So you might ask, what are the likely consequences for consumers, both positive and negative, when they interact with this product or service in both the ways we intend, but also in other ways too. Brands should take cues from companies like Instagram, who see value for the mental health of its users in removing likes, or at the very least experimenting with this. In other interesting areas of the industry, fitness clubs like Barry's Bootcamp are moving beyond just physical well-being, so beyond the workout in a studio, and are now offering mental and emotional wellness in the form of in-studio mindset coaching. So this would be for customers who perhaps display signs of obsessive behavior, or are perhaps struggling in other ways. So it may not feel like it's your core business to consider this, but in a rapidly changing world, if you can anticipate the various needs of your consumer, and perhaps before they anticipate it for themselves, it could prove to be hugely advantageous for your business.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lauren. So let's dive straight into our last trend, which is in search of a wellness ecosystem. So if wellness truly is a lifestyle, then today's consumer shouldn't feel misguided in expecting elements of it to be present and easily accessible across every environment. A world where work, rest and play are underpinned and connected by it. In fact, for the consumer of tomorrow, the expectation is that they will receive what they want when they need it. And the ultimate form of convenience will rest on the notion that wellness shouldn't be an isolated practice, but instead exist within the common frameworks found at home, work, and recreational spaces. Savvy wellness brands are already starting to address these desires by offering a portfolio of services within one single connected environment, capitalizing on convenience, or by becoming part of an existing ecosystem that's already central to people's lives. So which brands are already blurring the boundaries? Equinox understands how wellness behaviours have become a pivotal part of its customers' lives and demonstrates how brands can go above and beyond to better serve the goals and needs of its audience. A customer staying at the Equinox Hotel, for example, doesn't need to waste time searching for the closest boutique fitness studio, scour the internet to order a healthy meal to be delivered to their room, or travel across town to a trendy spa. They can find everything they need where they are. Such instant gratification, Equinox hopes, will justify the hotel's $700 plus per night price tag and help the brands carve out a space for itself in the $639 billion wellness travel sector. Not alone in its omnipresent approach, like Equinox, premium gym developer Lifetime has also announced plans to expand its footprint into new verticals in order to tap into the growing demand for a more integrative and all-encompassing approach to wellness. Starting in 2020, the company will launch luxury, wellness-infused apartment buildings next to new or existing Lifetime fitness clubs, with membership built into monthly rent. The idea is to make people's lives a little less busy, explains CEO Bahram Akradi, by creating an elevated experience that presents a complete reimagination of where and how we live. It will make it easier to live a healthier life inside and out, he added. Essentially, it operates under the premise of providing the wellness focus with the life they've always imagined: streamlined, connected, and convenient. In an era where time is one of the most important commodities for a consumer, Lifetime is clever in associating itself in consumers' minds as freeing up time, and with making the pursuit of wellness simpler and faster. In doing so, it's better placed to serve the growing everything at your fingertips mentality of the younger generations. Leapfrogging off this movement, in 2020 and beyond, we predict we'll see a rise in wellness architects disrupting the traditional real estate sector across the UK, US, Asia, and the rest of the world, positioning health, fitness, and well-being at the foundations of new corporate and residential builds in order to cater to this growing demographic. Mason and Fifth, a co-living space in London offering fitness programs developed by Jessica Sky, healthy breakfasts of overnight oats including in its subscription, and monthly gong bus is just one example, as is Primary, a co-working space in New York, complete with living walls, a 600 square foot fitness studio, massage and acupuncture rooms is another. Both of these demonstrate how ultimately wellness is becoming less of a destination and more of an integration into everyday life as a result. So with that in mind, perhaps you should think about where your customer works, rests and plays, and how your business could occupy these spaces to better serve them. Lauren, is there anywhere you see as currently being underserved and in need of a more integrated approach to wellness?
Good question. And I think this is relevant not only to businesses with a physical location, but if you're a product-based business, worth thinking about the opportunities for you as well. So we are all seeing the changing landscape of the retail environment and the mounting pressure for retailers to adopt a more experiential approach. When we think about, oh, we might be having a bit of a sound glitch here, so I'll carry on anyway. When we think about the main physical places that we frequently inhabit, like schools, hospitals, transport hubs, parks, malls, and high streets, even in an age of digital communities and online alternatives, there are still many ways to create new and more meaningful human interactions. So wellness is an extremely powerful catalyst for this. In an age where people feel increasingly disconnected and stressed, it really does represent an opportunity for brand owners like you to find more interesting ways for consumers to engage with your product or service. So Lululemon is a great example of a brand who pioneered this by adding events, festivals, cafes, and social spaces to their stores. And collaborating with nutrition brands and other product-based brands in the wellness industry to create that pop-up and experiential marketing strategy. Fitness studios are emerging in transport hubs and grocery stores. Shopping malls are integrating mindful, tech-free zones, and hotels are partnering with brands to introduce unique wellness-inspired tools to their guests. So the question for our listeners is, what role can you play in this?
Thanks, Lauren. So I think that brings us to the end of the consumer wellness trends we'll be exploring today. But before we say goodbye, Lauren, I'll pass it over to you for a final time to conclude with any extra details.
Thank you so much, Laura, and thank you to all of our attendees that have joined us. There's been so much to think about and consider, as there always is, and when it comes to the wellness consumer of tomorrow and, of course, of today, there are so many new ways for brands to have an even greater impact on people, and it's an exciting industry to be in. So as we draw to a close, a huge thank you to everyone who's joined us for the presentation live today and to those watching on the recording. There's never been a more exciting time to be part of the global wellness industry, and we're certainly looking forward to seeing continued innovation and growth in this space. It goes without saying that many of you listening will be the ones pioneering this, and if you've identified any other key trends driving growth in your particular industry subsector, we would love to hear from you. So the link from today's webinar, including the slides, will be emailed across to you so that you can listen back at your own leisure and share this resource, of course, with friends or colleagues. So to access the full Welltodo 2020 Consumer Wellness Trends Report, including the 4 trends that we haven't gone through in more detail today, you can visit the link that is appearing on your screen right now. And we're also offering a 20% discount code, which is available to you, our live listeners, for the next 48 hours when purchasing the report. It's also displayed on your screen right now, so make a note of it. It's all in capital letters, WELLWEB20, so that's WELLWEB20 at the checkout, and the code, as I mentioned, is shown here on the slide. Finally, if you have not yet discovered the Welltodo Business of Wellness podcast, and you're interested in what's going on in the industry, who the thought leaders are, and who are some of the brands pioneering the innovative aspects of the industry that we've talked about in our webinar today, then season 1 is now available to you via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Libsyn. I have interviewed an incredible array of fantastic founders and leading wellness brands, some of those pictured on your screen now, including LV, F45, Y7 Studio, Hippies, and more. And that's all we have time for today. From both Laura and I, thank you again so much for joining us on today's webinar, and have a fantastic day ahead.